welcome to Detroit in Black and White. This is our Wednesday edition. It's me and Allan.
It's our
He's black.
Friday.
I'm white. Yeah, are you black? I'm white, or I'm white, or you black? Well, it is black and white.
We are
Detroit.
representing.
What's up, man?
What's up? Not too much. Not too much. I mean, it's interesting. I haven't had a chance to really read it. I see El Said just put out a poll showing that he's ahead by, I don't know if it's 18 points, but the last two polls, one showed Haley Stevens up 35 to 31. Another one showed him up by a little bit over Haley Stevens.
And then there's one that shows Mallory McMorrow up. I'm just telling you. So El Sayed say he's up by 18 points.
I'm skeptical of that. That's
man, that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit.
The Washington Post had a story today about talking about how Democrats are concerned that he's too far left, that he might cost them the Senate. But
yeah, he is gonna cost them the Senate if he don't do what he needs to do. Stephanie Jackson, good evening. Janet Overall, good evening. Edward Alt 5085, good evening. And Deborah Harris was here for a minute. She want to talk about boot camp for takeover for downtown Detroit. Well, okay, Deborah, come on the show. Come on.
All right.
Come on that QR code if you want to come on. Get on and come on and talk about it. Yeah, I got a problem. I got a problem in the Senate race. So I'm coming up. I got something I'm gonna give you for Deadline Detroit, Allan.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the Senate. I've been critical of some of the candidates, and and I'm gonna get my take on what's gonna happen. But El Sayed, yeah, if he wins the nomination, he's gonna be another Jeffrey Feiger. I know, because I was with Jeffrey Feiger, who was different, who wanted to tear the system down, and he beat Larry on. Larry on was the favorite, and he went and he kicked Larry on in the ass because we went to rallies that was for Larry on, and when we left, people was they was for Feiger, hollering Feiger time. It was Feiger time. Feiger won. He won the nomination, and this 1998. And guess what? The general election, England kicked everybody's ass. Democrats lost all the way around except Jennifer Granholm, who had distanced herself from Feiger. At that time, the person that was running on the top of the ticket could pick his people. He picked Granholm. He really didn't like her, but McNamara was the only important political figure that supported him. And she worked for McNamara, and he got his ass slammed. The Democrats lost everything but that seat, and she started running for governor when she won that seat. So,
Well, were you running Feiger's Detroit campaign, or what was your role?
I ran his Detroit campaign, and and Feiger ran his overall campaign. Because Feiger was a micromanager. So,
And how was he to deal with? How was Feiger to deal with as a candidate?
Feiger was
He's a smart guy.
a smart guy. He paid for funerals in Detroit of kids that got killed. He was a guy that unselfish when it come to helping people. But people that work for him, I see. Listen, he'll cuss out somebody that worked in his office that had a phone bill for $50. He didn't want to pay the rent. It was $250 for the campaign office. He didn't want to write a check for the rent, and they wanted to put us out of the campaign office. And you had to make him do that. Kenneth Reeves, what did Kenneth Reeves say? Can you put that back up? I see that Adolph is talking about the Livonia Mafia tonight. Okay. Yeah, well, but the bottom line is that if LCI, that if he wins the nomination, Democrats gonna lose that seat.
Yeah.
And I won't be sad, because I'm tired. I look at what Rashida is doing now. She thinks that she can put a resolution or bill out there to say the U.S. needs to leave, pull troops out of Lebanon. I didn't know we had troops in Lebanon. Do we?
You know what? I don't. If we do, it's only on advisory. I don't think we have any troops in Lebanon.
Yeah, but you know what? That tells you how fucked up. And then we got the asshole on the other side, Sri Tanadar, and he does nothing. All he does is he run 500 commercials. He sent all this paper out, and he does nothing. But we
got a lot of flyers. Yeah, I just got one of his big fly. I mean, they're oversized.
I saw that shit. I was like, I told my wife, I throw that shit away. She took it. Say, I gotta read it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah. Sri Thanadar. I mean, the thing is, he's going to win again. He's
going to win again because the person he's running against, he comes out of the womb of what's her name? Rashida
and Bernie.
Rashida got her people all over the place.
Right.
And she's determined to tear down parts of the Democratic Party, which that's what she's gonna do, and we're gonna keep. But Deborah Harris say she don't want to come on, but she wants to talk about it. Okay, Deborah, give us your take on the kids about the boot camp. Come on, the takeover from downtown and your take, Deborah. We got somebody coming on tomorrow, Reverend Rideout. He's a community activist. He got a different kind of take on the takeover, and I really want to hear what he got to say.
I'm reading here. It says the overview of the resolution. This is Rashida Tlaib, or wants the Trump administration to remove all U.S. armed forces from Lebanon within 7 days. I mean, maybe she knows something that I have not heard of.
That's what I'm saying. And you're right, Kenneth Reed. I believe it is it's the CIA, but What do you got? About 10 people from the CIA in it?
Yeah. I mean, look, the CIA is in every country. I mean, the CIA is in Iran, just like the Israeli Mossad is in Tehran and in all those areas. But there is no ground. As far as I know, there's no ground troops in Lebanon. American ground troops there. I mean, are there American arms being used by Israelis? Probably, but you know, are there U.S. troops in Iran? Probably in some parts right now, but I'm not sure what she's really asking for. I mean, you know, basically what happened was the U.S. has been negotiating with Lebanon for a cease treaty that would basically be Israel's, and Israel agreed to it. And then Hezbollah, and basically what's happening is there was supposed to be, I mean, Hezbollah is a proxy for Iran, and they're fighting Iran's war there. They're not doing anything to protect Lebanon.
Well, people say we proxy for Israel and we fighting the Israel war.
Sure.
But it's kind of crazy that Trump and Netanyahu, you know, they fell out, and Trump went low, said, "If it wasn't for me, you'd be in jail, son. You son of a bitch."
Well, they both be in jail.
Right.
If Trump hadn't got elected, you know, Netanyahu is a bully. I mean, when it really bothered me when he came when Obama was in the White House. He came to AIPAC convention in Washington, and it's just unheard of for you to go to another country in the same city and you don't visit the president or at least give a shout out. So he was trying to bully Obama, and Obama pushed back. He bullied Biden. Biden tried to work with him, and he did the same thing. And now, you know, he's trying to bully Trump, and finally Trump, he's screwing up. You know,
one thing about Trump, he's gonna be the bully, and he's gonna not let anybody bully him. But you know that it is that Mike Bunch 3443. Israel has never abided by a ceasefire ever.
Well, I think if you say that,
I think they have.
I think first of all, I mean, they've eventually in 2006 they reached a ceasefire with Hezbollah. You know, look, Israel got attacked, and I'm not going to defend everything Israel did in Gaza because I think they went overboard. But on October 7th, 2023, Israel was attacked. 1,200 people were savagely murdered. Babies were burned in bassinets. And the very next day, it was Hezbollah who started attacking Israel. And that never stopped. And so has Israel violated ceasefires? Yes, but so has Hezbollah, so is Hamas.
I'm just going to tell you that the folks in Shreve District and a lot of folks out of Detroit, that war is number 10 or 11 on the list of things that got to happen, you know. And Rashida from day one, she didn't give a shit about what's happening in the 13th district. She went straight for the Gaza, which, you know, she's Palestinian.
Well, she's from the West. Her family's from the West Bank. But what I would have loved for Rashida Tlaib to do was go to Washington and try to figure out a way how to create peace and coexist.
She went to D.C. and wasn't creating peace and whatever the fuck she wanted to do. She was what she was.
Yeah.
You know, Kenneth Reed said maybe Obama didn't want to deal with Netanyahu. Probably,
probably mutual. It was mutual. They both didn't like each other. You know.
Derrick Henry, good evening, family. Less, more. Something is not real has been doing for decades. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Time for a commercial.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Mike Bunch 3443 says Israel got attacked on October 7th for the many years they attacked Palestinians. They were never innocent. You know what? I'm going to tell you. I grew up, I went to Carver School out of Royal Oak Township, and we learned about the Israeli Palestinian conflict, because when we talked about Negro History Week, Ralph Bunche won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1950, I think it was, because he mediated the war. He the one. He was a peace maker. He got the Israelis and he got the Arabs to sit down and talk. That's how we learned about the Israeli-Arab conflict in the Middle East, when the U.S. was the first country. Harry Truman, President Harry Truman, he recognized Israel, and he says, but Israel, the option was to create a Palestinian state. They told them that, it would have been 2 states, Israel and Palestine. But
that was what happened. In 48, the UN sanctioned, the UN split it up, and the Arabs were like, no way are we.
Right. They geeked the Palestinians up. You don't have to. And they all attacked Israel, which was a big mistake. And here we are. Let's go to our guest, JeDonna Dinges. We hadn't had her on before. She's just a mean firebrand, a woman that you don't fuck with here in Detroit. How you doing?
Hi, Adolph. How are you?
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Last time you was on the show, which was
I can't hear you.
months ago, you were
I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Can you hear?
I can't hear you.
Can't hear.
Just 1 second. Maybe it's my earbuds.
Is the sound up all the way on your computer?
Yeah, my volume's turned up.
Okay.
I can't hear you though for some odd reason.
All right.
Let me see. Just 1 second.
You want me to do the sign language?
Speakerphone.
All right. I think she heard that.
Did you hear? You can hear us?
There we go. I can hear. I got you. Yes. I just needed my tech support over here. You always have to have a young person in the house to help you with technology.
I know. That probably was your daughter, right?
Yes. India's over here helping me. We always need somebody young to help us old people. How are you?
I'm all right. Several months ago, you came on. You talked about trying to get those politicians up in Lansing to passed an anti-discrimination bill, and
Yeah.
you talked about how you was the victim of vicious racist and racism in Grosse Pointe, and you had to move away. And now I heard that you won your lawsuit. They settled. And what about the bill?
Yes. So the lawsuit was settled, and the legislation was passed. So we have gone from victims to victors.
Can you tell us your story from the beginning, like how it all began?
Yep. So in 2021, my daughter India and I were targeted by a neighbor who put up a Klan flag in his window facing our home, and he was not prosecuted because of the way that Michigan's ethnic intimidation, then the ethnic intimidation law was written. He was not able to be prosecuted because one of the elements, there are 4 elements that would need to be met. One of the elements was contact, and we did not have any direct contact. He didn't deface our home. He didn't put the Klan flag on our property. He didn't physically threaten us or verbally threaten us. So that element was not met, and Prosecutor Worthy declined to prosecute him, and I did not blame her because it's the way that the law was written, and she had to follow the law.
And this was Grosse Pointe Park, correct?
This was in Grosse Pointe Park. At the time, we lived on Weyburn in Grosse Pointe Park, yes.
Yeah.
And we had lived there for 10 years, and this incident happened. And when Prosecutor Worthy was not able to prosecute our former neighbor, I decided that the law needed to be changed. And so I went to the elected officials, our state senator and our state senator and our representative, our state rep, and asked them, can we change this legislation? And they weren't moving fast enough. I'm a little impatient. And I decided to take it on myself and my partner, Bridget Maxey. We co-founded the Ethnic Intimidation Law Amendment Work Group on April 1st, 2021. And we set out to change the law, and it was 4 years. It took us 4 years to do it, but we did it. And we have new hate crimes legislation on the books because of our work and the work of many people. There were a lot of people behind the scenes.
What does it say? What does it change? And how
so the legislation that Governor Whitmer signed last February, our hate crimes legislation, now covers folks who were not covered. So in the legislation that we passed ensures that every living, breathing person in the state of Michigan is protected from hate-based crimes and ethnic intimidation. Including ethnic intimidation. Previously, the LGBTQI plus community was not covered. In the ethnic intimidation law, they're now protected. Previously, senior citizens were not protected. Now they are protected as well. Handicapped folks were not protected. Now they're protected as well. So we wanted to ensure that everyone was protected. You notice I didn't say Michigan citizens because we wanted to ensure that folks who are undocumented are protected as well. So we want to make sure that human beings are protected. No one deserves to be targeted because of who they are or who they love or where they live. So we worked very hard to get this done, and it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into getting this legislation passed.
Now you settled the lawsuit. Who did you settle with?
Well, we settled the lawsuit against our former neighbor. The Michigan Department, the Housing Department took, Fair Housing took on our case, and they investigated, and they requested that the University of Michigan's Civil Rights Law Clinic, they referred our case to the University of Michigan Civil Rights Law Clinic, and they took our case. It took about a year of investigation and prompting for them to take our case, and they worked on that case for about 2 years. and we ended up settling the case. Now, we did agree to a non-disclosure, so we cannot disclose a lot of the details of the settlement, and that was our preference, because we felt like, like we're not going to disclose the amount or a lot of the details. But just know that we were very pleased that, again, we went from victims to victors. And we wanted to send a very strong message to anyone who decides to target someone because of who they are, that that's unacceptable behavior. India and I, people say to me all the time, I'm out and about, and people say, was that situation resolved with your neighbor? And what situation? I'm still Black. India's still Black. We were targeted because of our race. And
did he ever concede that, yes, I did that to mess with my neighbor, my Black neighbor?
No, he wasn't going to concede that. Someone asked me, did he apologize? I wasn't looking for an apology. Because I don't want an apology. I don't want a fake apology or a forced apology. The bottom line is that there's nothing that we could have ever done to warrant that behavior. And there's no sum of money. If someone put, $12 million on our porch and shrink wrapped it so it wouldn't get wet, that would not be enough money to compensate us for what we went through.
But didn't you have to close your business down? You had a business. Tell us about your business and how it took this much time to get back in business. Go ahead.
Well, my business wasn't shut down because of excuse me, this.
But when you dealing with this stuff,
we certainly were impacted. We were impacted by what happened to us. India certainly was impacted. More, she was very, very frightened. She did not feel safe, and that's why we moved. Every noise, the house settling, a squirrel running on the roof, all of those things she found very frightening. When we came outside, we had to walk around the car and walk around the house because she was afraid that our neighbor was lurking and was going to harm us. So it was very challenging and very, very troubling. And we lost our sense of safety. We lost our sense of anonymity. And not so much India, because she was never the face of this. I was the face of it. And as you said, Adolph, correctly, people came to my business. They came to racist people, came to my business social media pages and my Google page and left false reviews and said awful and hateful things. And it was very, again, unsettling. You know me, Adolph, you know me for a very long time. And, I grew up in the city of Detroit, right on the west side, Prairie, St. Mary's. In Detroit, didn't raise no punks. Okay, so I'm not afraid of a fight. And we were prepared to fight. But also, I had an obligation to ensure that my child felt safe, and she did not feel safe. Our former neighbor owned several guns, and it was just a situation that was very unsettling, and where we did not feel supported by the police department either.
How did your daughter? How did she react to all this?
React to the flag going up, or the
whole thing, the whole. India was diagnosed with anxiety in 2016, and this created a lot more anxiety for her. Instead of going to therapy once a week, she ended up going to therapy multiple times a week. She was very frightened, and it was very difficult. It was very, very difficult for her. She felt unsafe. The police did not help ensure that we felt safe either, because they just seemed very lackadaisical about the whole situation. They did not take it very, very seriously.
Was the police, Grosse Pointe Park police, part of the lawsuit?
No. Our lawsuit was exclusively against our neighbor.
Okay.
We sued him for violating a civil right, our civil rights. It was a civil rights lawsuit. It was a federal civil rights lawsuit.
I look at that as you really did the right thing, and because some people would have said, okay, City Grosse Pointe Park is all part of that, and the police department, but you went to the person that started the shit, kept it going, and hey, he'll think twice before he do it. One of our viewers, Maureen Dritson, says, "Bravo, well done. There should be no room in Michigan legislation for any type of hate, discrimination, crime." People are out there saying, you did the right thing, and you need to keep kicking ass. Now, you having something tomorrow. Tell us what's going on.
Right. Well, and thank you so much for having me tonight. I was rushing home. So our business, my business, Margot and Max, it's a family business. I own an upscale resale boutique. We are having a grand opening tomorrow in Eastern Market at our new location at 1520 Adelaide. And from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., we're having a grand opening there. So come check us out.
And that's in Eastern Market, right?
It's an Eastern Market. Yes, we are in a historic Eastern Market. So we're really excited about that. The Free Press called us the best resale clothing store ever. And we are very, very excited about opening and starting this new chapter and opening this new location in Eastern Market.
My wife is one of the resale queens.
Yes, she is.
And
we love Dr. Mongo. Tell her to come on down.
Yeah, and it's like I never knew about resale and stuff until I moved in with somebody that say I'm going to the resale shop or take their clothes there, and yes, yeah, but that's great. And how old is your daughter?
India she just turned 27.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
It's been a long time because I remember when she was a baby, when she was born.
Yes. She is 27 years old, doing very well in school. She's on the dean's list at Schoolcraft College and a member of Phi Theta Kappa. So she's doing her thing, and I'm really excited. She was, definitely impacted by what happened to us, but is very resilient, and really fought her way back to good mental health and doing very, very well and achieving her goals in school. So I'm really excited about that, and having this chapter closed with the legislation being signed by Governor Whitmer and us receiving a settlement for the lawsuit was just huge, because it showed her, it showed everyone, but it also showed India that we can fight back. We don't have to sit and be quiet because people want us to. Because a lot of people, if you look in the comment section, right, people encouraged us to just, you got your 15 minutes of fame. Like, we were looking for this. We weren't looking for any type of anonymity. For our anonymity to be removed. We weren't looking for any type of fame. We lost that anonymity everywhere that for the last 5 years. I'm in the grocery store and people come up to me and say, aren't you the clam flag lady? Aren't you the lady, the guy put the clam flag in his window as I'm just minding my business, trying to pick out a grapefruit. It's not something that we went looking for. I don't go looking for a fight, but I don't shy away from one either. So.
Did somebody suggestion that Noah Arbit, one of the legislators, gave you a hard time? Is that correct?
That's correct. That's very much correct. So this legislation, like I said, we started this process in in April of 2021. We, Bridget Maxey and myself, founded the Ethnic Intimidation Law Amendment Work Group. We had our first meeting on April 1st of 2021, partnered with Grosse Pointe and Harper Woods NAACP, with Cynthia Douglas at the helm of that. And we had lawmakers at the table. We had lobbyists. The late great Ken Cole, may he rest in peace, was our lobbyist initially.
Right. He's a good guy.
Ken was a good dude, a solid man. Just an amazing person. And so we worked on the legislation. We were about 2 years in, and we lost Ken. And after we lost Ken, we went dormant for a little bit. And then in 2023, we got back to it. And at that point, Noah Arbit had been elected. But let me back up a little bit. So as we formed the work group, we had Prosecutor Worthy had representation at the table. Prosecutor Worthy came to some of the meetings, and then she sent someone from her office, Emily Corwin. Attorney General Dana Nessel had three representatives at the table, including the Deputy Solicitor General. And so we had all of the documents and all of the legislation language in a shared Google Drive folder. That information was given to Noah Arbit by the Attorney General's office. And we knew that we needed a legislator, because obviously I'm not a legislator, neither is Bridget, neither of us are elected officials. So we did need a legislator at the table to get this going. But Noah Arbit has tried to raise our voices from this conversation. There was a town hall last May at Temple Israel in West Bloomfield, which Representative Arbit was hosting, and Attorney General Nessel was speaking at, and was speaking about hate crimes and speaking about the legislation. Mm-hmm. And I registered for the town hall along with my daughter and my ex-husband. And when we got to the event, we were turned away and had the police called on us. And we were told if we tried to enter the event, we would be arrested. And so, we didn't want to be arrested, so we left. Right. And it's so offensive that.
Why? What was the reasoning for that? I don't understand.
Noah didn't want us coming into the event because he wants everyone to think that he did this, that this was his idea and this legislation happened with just him. Like he was the only person who did it. And, truth be told, as we were going through the process of trying to get this legislation across the finish line, if it were not for my persistence and India's persistence and Senator Sylvia Santana's persistence, this legislation would have died.
Well, listen, didn't you learn that there are some politicians that all they do is go out and take the average citizen's ideas and when it's over with, you think they came up with it. You learned something, didn't you? And
I received an education I had not intended. Mm-hmm.
And then you learn that people like Sylvia Santana, they really work. They go and they are for the folks. So,
Sylvia Santana, Senator Santana is the real deal. Right. Had she not gotten involved, this legislation would have died. And she got involved because Bridget reached out to her when she was in DC at the Congressional Black Caucus at an event. So we worked very hard to make sure that this legislation stayed alive, and we kept it in the public eye. Darren Nichols from the Free Press wrote several pieces about this legislation. He wrote about it when it was stuck, when nobody else was talking about it. Darren continued to talk about it. So we worked our behinds off to ensure that this stayed in front of people and that it got across the finish line. And India and I drove to Lansing, and we're willing to stay there all night to make sure that this legislation passed. And our lobbyist, Rudy Hobbs, ended up being our second lobbyist. And Rudy is an amazing guy, really good brother.
What was the resistance to something that just seems so obvious?
Well, when the legislation was introduced, the legislation was introduced at a press conference, and all of the conversation around the legislation was about the LGBTQI plus community being protected. And I don't have a problem with that. India is queer. My daughter is a member of the LGBTQI plus community. So I definitely want to make sure that, she's protected, right? But we were not targeted because India is queer. We were targeted because she and I are Black. But I never said that I only wanted one group of people to be protected. The conversation began to be about the LGBTQI plus community more than anyone else. Representative Arbit is a member of that community, and so is, as you know, the Attorney General. So they spun this narrative that was this legislation. They made it sound like this legislation was only to protect the LGBTQI plus community. The right latched on to that and started beating this drum, saying that the legislation was going to punish people for using the wrong pronouns and other things that are just ludicrous. They started making these accusations, and that kind of took hold, and that began to take over the whole conversation about the legislation. When that happened, the Democrats who were in more purple districts and more conservative districts started to kind of push back, and started to kind of pull away, because they were afraid that their constituents wouldn't support them when they went up for re-election. And go ahead, Adolph, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, finish up, and then I'll go.
So the legislation really got kind of put in a drawer, if you will. And I was truly, when you talk about I received an education, Adolph, I truly received an education because I thought this is a great piece of legislation. Ron Lipscomb, he's a partner at Miller Canfield, brilliant attorney, First Amendment expert. Yeah, he's good. Another good brother, right? He worked for Governor Granholm,
right?
And he's the author of this legislation. So it was a really good piece of legislation, but they were going to put it in a drawer and let it die because it had this stink on it, if you will, because there was this controversy surrounding it, and no one couldn't get the stink off. Nobody could get the stink off, and until we got Senator Santana involved, and her team rewrote the legislation and took some of the pieces out that the Republicans were using to were weaponizing.
But you know what? It took America 100 fucking years to pass anti-lynching legislation, when you had thousands of Black men and women and children being lynched all over, not just in the South, but in the North and in the West and the East.
Absolutely, all over the country.
They could never get it passed in Congress. And when it first started out, the president said, "Oh, we can't do that." Anywhere from Teddy Roosevelt to Franklin Roosevelt said, "No, can't pass that because I need, the people in the South not gonna support me, or the people over in Indiana and Michigan not gonna support me." It's just unbelievable that you got something that's a slam dunk and you got opposition to it. You don't think you should have opposition, but you got opposition, and you did a hell of a job. Allan, you got the last question on this.
No, I just want to say congratulations. I appreciate, I think, a lot of people, whether you're Black or Jewish or Muslim or whatever, these are all, hate is hate.
Absolutely.
We all have to, and I used to tell Adolph, when we were younger, I'd say, you may go in a room and people are trashing the Jews, but when you leave, they're going to be saying stuff about the Blacks.
Listen, I dealt with that with me and a couple other folks. Students went up to a university. One of our teachers took us up to Alma College. One of the students was Jewish, and there was two Black students, and we went. He took us to his fraternity house when he was there, and they was talking about Jews, talking about don't Jew me this, don't Jew me that, and me and the Jewish student looked at each other and said, "Yeah, it's time to go," and the other Black student said, "Why are we leaving?" And why are we leaving? Because as soon as we leave, they're gonna talk about us. And it was uncomfortable. They wasn't talking about black folks. They was talking about Jews, but they might as well start talking about black folks, because if you that blatant about being prejudiced against a group of folks, these was white Anglo-Saxon Protestants and stuff. Do you think we want to go to that school? Hell no.
Exactly.
We didn't want to go. Now,
when people show you their biases, people's biases are, they're real, right? And people have biases against Jewish people or Muslim people, or whomever. They, biases and prejudice and bigotry, homophobia, transphobia, all of it, all the phobias and all the isms are unacceptable. And that's why we worked so hard to ensure that this legislation protected everybody. Because again, however, I saw one of the questions, somebody saying black people need their own legislation. There are certainly things that we need to address in ways in which we need to be protected, like like what happened with the young man who was shot and killed over a bottle of water, and people using a defense that they were afraid, and that we're something to fear. That Tamir Rice was killed, for playing with a toy gun. Well, he looked bigger than 12 years old. Things of that nature. Those are things that certainly need to be addressed. But there has to be a starting point, and people have to be willing to get to have some skin in the game, and do this work. This work isn't easy. It wasn't easy for India and I. It wasn't easy for Bridget. There were times where I wanted to give up, and a lot of the times when I wanted to give up, it was not because of our neighbor. It was because of elected officials, people that we entrusted to get the job done, who weren't willing to do the job, because a lot of times people are in those seats of power, they're in those positions of power for the wrong reasons, and that plays into all of it too. As Adolph, I ran for state rep years ago, and also when I was living in Grosse Pointe, I ran for the school board.
I was gonna say, are you getting back? Are you gonna get back politically
into politics?
Yes.
Never say never. I'll say never say never. I don't know. We shall see what the future holds. But when I was living in Grosse Pointe, in the Points, when we moved to Grosse Pointe Woods, I ran for the school board, and I ran for the school board not because I wanted to, because I didn't have anything else to do, because I always have plenty of things to do. India had graduated from high school. I ran for the school board because there was an incident where a white parent went to the microphone at a school board meeting and used the N-word, and was not gaveled, was not silenced in any way. Nobody in that room stood up and shouted her down. I was shocked. And when I called the school board at the time, the school board president, he said, well, she wasn't talking to me or about me. And he was a black man. And sir, she was talking to you and about you. Okay. But more importantly, by his attitude, sent a message to every black and brown student in Grosse Pointe that they weren't safe. And I could not let that stand as an adult who lived there. So I said, I gotta do something about this. So I came home and had a whole conversation with God. Hey God, do you see this? And God was like, yeah, I see it. What you gonna do about it? And I was like, I don't know. We gotta get that man off the school board. He was like, you gotta bump him out that seat. And I was like, God, you got jokes, because I don't want to run for the school board. I ended up running. I did end up bumping him out of that seat. I didn't win, but I got more votes than he did, and he ended up being off the school board.
Okay, well, you did what you got to do. Mr. 13 said Grosse Pointe Park was part of a sundown town up to the late 90s. We done had some sundown towns.
It's still part of a sundown town. Didn't you see the video last week? Did you see the video last week of the guy being harassed?
Howell, Michigan was a sundown town. Mm-hmm. The home of the late Robert Miles, Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan of Michigan. And we know about some of the things that the high school students have done over the years. from how. But anyway, JeDonna, thank you for coming
Very
on
well.
tonight. You know,
Thanks so much.
you know what? You always you get it done, girl.
Well, thank you. I'm very, very blessed that I had a lot of support, and I came from a family of activists and advocates. My mama Sita, may she rest in peace, and my daddy O, may he rest in peace. They didn't play, and they got things done, and they taught us not to play. So it came naturally.
I know you don't play, and India
No,
don't play. You
no,
know, and
she does not.
we appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you. We're gonna have you on again.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. And you all
Thanks.
stop by tomorrow at
Right.
1520 Adelaide and check out Margot and Max.
So what time y'all open?
From 10 till 6 tomorrow and from 12 to 4 on Sunday.
Okay, now you just open 2 days a week.
No, we're going to be open Thursday through Saturday, 10 till 6, and Sunday, 12 to 4.
Okay, good.
Every week. Okay?
Okay, good.
Good luck.
All righty. Thank you all so much for having us.
you.
Having me. Indians just sitting here. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All
Thank you. And Mr. 1213 says, I remember a black family that had moved into an upper that on the corner of Lake Point and St. Paul in the early 2000s, but only stayed a half a year before moving. In other words, I guess they had to deal with some stuff. But anyway, that was great, Allan.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, it's so great to see somebody, you know, as active as she was, and who was wrong. I mean, obviously, the guy put the flag in the window to intimidate her and her daughter, and it's, you know, and particularly we don't think of that happening here in the metro area like that, but it's, you know, it happens. It's, but that's an extreme case of somebody really doing something very, you know, it's pretty close to burning a cross on the lawn.
Well, before we go, I want to say, what do you think about the UAW endorsing LCI for the Senate and Jocelyn Benson for governor?
You know, I mean, Jocelyn Benson was a no-brainer. I think for the, you know, Sean Fain, the president of UAW, has been very supportive of Rashida Tlaib, been very outspoken against Israel and the war in Gaza. So it didn't surprise me. I mean, look, I mean, progressives, they're all pro-union, all three candidates. So what distinguishes them? I mean, Haley Stevens has been out there with, you know, the UAW. I think she was probably disappointed that she was not endorsed, and Mallory McMorrow's been courting. They all have union endorsements of different unions, but UAW is a big one, particularly in this town. But
do you think they're a big one? I don't think they got the shit anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think they you know.
I'll tell you, the UAW, when we were on strike in 95 at Detroit News, UAW was on the front lines pushing against the cops. The cops were spraying pepper gas and they were pushing back on the cops and stuff. I mean, they were giving the strikers every holiday like $150, whatever, which back then was a little bit more than what 150 is now. But the UAW has had 2 presidents go to prison. They've had so much corruption. It's really lost some of its polish, some of its.
They lost a whole lot of it. To me, it's polish. Then closed down facilities they once had. You know, you can go down on Jefferson and see several buildings that used to be occupied by union people sit empty. You know, if LCI went up, what?
Do you think the UAW endorsement makes a difference at all, or?
No, fuck the UAW. You know what? They not what they used to be, and fuck them. You know what? They want to get in bed with El Sayed. Go get in bed with him. You know, these progressives, they just have your own fucking party. You know, they not the Democratic Party is had an opportunity to take back the Senate, take back Congress, and you got Rashida Tlaib, OAC, Jasmine Crockett. These folks, they bent on this. It's like shit. They rather lose. They rather the Democrats lose than boom.
Well, that's I mean, that's what I mean. Some of the issues. I mean, you shouldn't compromise on some of the issues, but around the world, the Middle East, one of the biggest problems is compromise. Both sides unwilling, the extremists on both sides unwilling to compromise. What we have here is people who are so in love with the ideology that they have that they're willing to lose the party. They're willing to lose the vote. They're willing to lose the White House. They're willing to lose the Congress to stand up instead of compromising a little bit and saying, okay, we don't want this. But, people are looking generally for moderates. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, I consider myself a progressive, but, it's people are not looking for the far left and they're not looking for the far right, really.
I'm not a progressive. And I used to like the progressives, but the fuckers, man, I don't like them.
They're losing a lot of people, and they're losing some progressives who don't like some of their stands, even who are getting turned off by some of their stances and stuff. And whether El Sayed, I mean, I don't know. We saw Mandami in New York, who's obviously a very progressive, who won New York City.
I thought that was different because Eric Adams was a criminal, a crook, a thief, and he came from that Donald Trump school of I can do whatever I want to do, and Trump pardoning. Man, it's like, and he wore that pardon like a badge, of honor.
Well, Trump bought. It's interesting. Trump bought what they did originally was they dropped the charges against him. I don't even think it was really a pardon. It was just the Justice Department decided to drop the charges, but without prejudice, which meant they could refile at a later date. And the judge said, you aren't going to use that to manipulate the mayor of New York City by hanging that over his head. He goes, you want to dismiss it? Dismiss with prejudice. That's it. You can't refile.
And they dismissed it with prejudice.
The judge did. The Justice Department didn't want to because they wanted to manipulate Eric Adams, and if he didn't obey them, they would charge him again. But the judge said, I see what's going on here. Forget it.
Well, anyway, Kenneth Reed said endorsements are not necessarily like they once were. No one seemed to be out hitting doors and talking to voters. No sound cards announcing that there is an upcoming election. I don't know. I'm old. Well, you might be old, Eric. Kenneth, I'm older than you, so I know everything that we used to do, and the fucking UAW ain't my granddaddy or my father's UAW. They just a shell of they once were. As the late Howard Cosell said, you're not what you used to be. You couldn't hit, you couldn't, you're slow and all this other stuff. But that's them. The last word, Allan.
I'm the races are interesting. I mean, you know, people may disagree or whatever, but they are interesting. I mean, the one interesting poll that came out showed that every Democratic candidate could beat Mike Rogers, with Haley Stevens having the best chance, McMurrow the next best chance, and El Sayed just edging him out by a percentage point. But we'll see what happens. You know, the races, what do we have? We have June and July, basically, and
Yeah,
then
got 2 months.
Yeah,
Let's
2
let's
months.
get it going.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody that came on tonight. You know, and JeDonna Dinges. Thank you. She don't play around. I don't want to get in an alley fight with JeDonna.
Give her credit. She's a fighter. It's great.
Yeah, she's a fighter. We'll be back tomorrow.
Yep.
Be back tomorrow with Reverend W.J. Rideout.
Rideout. Okay.
He's a guy. And Deborah Harris, he wants to talk about the teen takeover. He got a different take. I hope you come on tomorrow so we can have a lively discussion. This is Detroit in black and white. See you tomorrow.